Welcome to Faithful Hustle, where faith meets grit and purpose drives the work. I'm Peyton, your host, and I'm here to help you lead boldly, live intentionally, and build in a way that honors God. Let's go. Episode 31, Faithful in the Small. So, what do you do with the small things? They matter more than you think. There have been seasons where I was doing things that didn't feel big or significant, but those were the moments that built my discipline. A few years ago, I read a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it talks about becoming 1% better every day and how at the end of one calendar year, you can be 37 times better. Change doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be consistent. Small obedience leads to big trust, y'all. God watches how we handle what's in front of us right now. When He put me in the last place I was living, I took care of it and I cleaned it and I took care of my neighbor's stuff as well and tried to keep everything orderly. And here for instance, I've already vacuumed and mopped the kitchen today and organized the kitchen table, and cleaned that off as well. So I'm just, trying to help and trying to steward what God gave me. And I know He's watching how I handle these things. And so that's going to pay off for me in the future. Have you ever paid for something and then you feel like you're getting tested? I mean, that's because when we ask God or the Holy Spirit to help with anything, they will often use some sort of test to see before we are given any blessings. They're going to try and see where we are. Are you overlooking small opportunities because they don't feel big enough? Like I said, don't turn up your nose to those small opportunities because once they compound, you will have a lot. And just because it is a small opportunity doesn't mean that you won't walk away with a life shifting lesson. So, where can you be more consistent? And what would it look like to be faithful today? Y'all know I like to give y'all a little homework. So, our tactical takeaways this week is to commit to one small habit and just stay consistent. Mine started with making up my bed every morning. I feel like when we move into adult life, sometimes we just decide not to do the small things anymore. And sometimes that really matters. And I would encourage you to celebrate the small wins. Don't just have a big goal. And if you achieve that big goal, you get a big prize. Have several small, achievable goals that you can reach. That way, you can reward yourself and feel confident in taking more action. I once had this big sales goal. And when I hit the big sales goal, I would get to pick a prize out of this prize catalog, right? But I didn't celebrate the small wins along the way of like reaching my small weekly goal because I broke that big 3 month goal down into monthly goals. And then I further broke it down into a weekly goal. And I did not celebrate those small weekly goals when I hit them. I just kept on trucking. And I do feel like I would have had a different result because in the end, I was just like, you know what? It's 3 months away. I'm not worried about it. So celebrate those small wins, y'all. I do feel like it will be important when we reward ourselves. And then declare, I am faithful in the small things. And put this where you'll see it daily. You know, what you do daily shapes who you become. Do you want to be a neat person? Like, make your bed, put the seat down, flush the toilet. I feel like when we grow up as adults and live on our own, we start to ignore those small things that create who we become. So, those small opportunities, just because they're small, don't overlook them, y'all. So, what you do will shape who you become. Love y'all. Thank you for spending time with me on Faithful Hustle. Remember, real success isn't about how high you climb, it is about how faithfully you walk with Jesus along the way. If this episode encouraged you, share it with someone who could use it too. Until next time, stay faithful and keep hustling.